Hello, students. So today we are beginning the fourth chapter. The chapter for this has been deleted, right? So let's start the fourth chapter: patterns of social inequality and exclusion. So, like when we hear the terms inequality, exclusion, okay, discrimination, it is not a very positive term. It denotes something which is negative and which is bad, which should not actually be present in the society. So like social exclusion, okay, inequality, discrimination, it is inherent to all societies. So things like this, it happens in all the societies. And living in India, being an Indian, like all of this inequality, exclusion, it is a fact of life. It is something we see or even experience on a daily basis. Okay, so when you just walk out, okay, of your house, you will see somewhere or the other there is a poor person who is begging. Okay, so that is because of inequality. And then you see small kids working in tea shops, small stalls. You also see this small kids working in like middle class family houses as domestic labor, right? So all of this is discrimination, inequality, exclusion that is taking place in our society. And then there is caste discrimination, like we studied about the caste system, okay, how the lower caste people are discriminated. So there is caste discrimination, there is violence against women are violated, there is violence against the minority groups, violence against the tribals, violence against low caste groups. Okay, so all of this we see visually somewhere around our house, in our community, in our town, or we see it happening somewhere else in India. So, since it happens every day, we have become so used to it, we have become so used to seeing it that we feel like it's something we cannot stop. It is something which is bound to happen, which is inevitable, which cannot change, and which is natural. It has become so normal. So, what is social inequality? In each and every society, there are groups that have more resources than the other and groups that have less resources than the other, right? So, this is very self explanatory. So, everywhere in every society, every country, every community, there are families, there are groups of people, categories of people who have more resources economically, socially, culturally, politically, and then there are some who have less than that. And then this gap between the rich and the poor, it is wide, and it just keeps getting wider. So this resources, the social resources, it can be divided into three: economic capital, cultural capital, and social capital. So economic capital means money, income, material wealth, right? Like houses, buildings. Cultural capital, that is educational status, like your degrees and your social status. And social capital means network connections. Here network connection means connection with some high class people or people in political power, people having a lot of wealth, maybe all of that connections. So these capitals are interrelated. So economic capital, cultural capital, social capital are interrelated to one another. If you have two of the three capitals or one of the two capitals, it will be quite easier for you to gain a higher social status. So for example, a person having a strong economic background can study in expensive schools. That's expensive, alright? Colleges, universities thus can acquire cultural capital. So a person who is rich, who has a strong financial economic background, such person can afford to study in like international schools, colleges. Okay, so when you have degree from such universities, colleges, or schools, then you will also acquire high educational degree, educational status, that is cultural capital. And slowly you may get connections, you may have connections with people having strong political background, right, or educational background. So slowly you can also increase your social capital, your cultural capital, all will be raised to a high standard. A person with social capital can acquire economic capital. So if you have a connection with someone who is economically strong, who are politically strong, then they may give you or recommend your name in some high end jobs. So then you may also have high economic capital. Social inequality can be understood as the patterns of unequal access to social resources. So, not all members of the society have equal access to resources, because ours is a capitalist economy and that is not what happens. So, in a socialist economy or communist like that, people may have access to resources how much ever they need, equal access, but that is not the case in our capitalist society. Hence there is social inequality, as there is unequal distribution or unequal access to resources. Social inequality is greatly determined by the society that they live in and not by natural qualities of human beings. So, the society we live in, the community we live in, it greatly determines the extent to which social inequality takes place in our society, and it is not because of our talent or our inherent innate qualities, right? Then there is social stratification. So, what is social stratification? Like we've mentioned, discussed earlier in the earlier chapter about caste system and how the society is stratified into different caste strata. So, that is what social stratification is. It refers to a system by which categories of people in a society are ranked in a hierarchy. So, groups of people are ranked in a hierarchy: high class, middle class, low class, or Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. So that is how people are ranked, and that is how the society is stratified. So this hierarchy shapes people's identity, experience, their relations with others, as well as access to resources and opportunities. Like we discussed earlier in caste system, their their position in a stratified society, it determines or it influences their entire life, their identity, their experience, their way of life, their access to opportunities, their relations with other groups. All of this is determined by social stratification. Okay, their position in the strata of hierarchy, their position in the society, whether high, whether low, whether middle, whether they are upper caste or lower caste. All of this determines their life, it determines their identity, experiences, their opportunities. Okay,